Well, welcome back, everybody. So, obviously, it's not a good idea to do something for the first time live, but here we are. So, I did go live for about 3 minutes, and then I realized that there were people in my backstage trying to ask some questions and get in, and I couldn't see them while I was live. And then now I had to go back, like, finish my live and go into this other portal in order to be able to actually do this. So I don't fully understand how this works, but we're recording now and we will maybe stitch this with our live. And if anybody else joins, they can join here. So I did send this to a bunch of people. So hopefully they didn't join and get confused and leave, but I think they would have texted me at least. Anyways, here we are. So now it's time for you to ask me anything. Ask me anything about self-care, about movement, about health and well-being, because we are officially recording. I'm so excited. All right. Any questions for me?
Yes, I think I would like to ask what's one self-care routine that you stick every single day,
Ooh.
and also how you manage it to have the self-care routine with your busy schedule.
That's a great question. So one thing that I do almost every single day, there are probably some things I do every single day, but one of the things that's the most important to me that I do basically every single day, actually, the more I think about it, I'm like, I do this every single day, but not always at the same time. Okay. So I try to wake up before 7 every day. And between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., I aim to have an hour to myself. Sometimes it starts a little bit earlier at 6:30 or 6, but I try to have an hour to myself in the morning where I just listen to music, I pray, I read, I do whatever I want to do. Sometimes I might, dance a little bit to usually slower music because, I just woke up. But really just having that hour to myself every day makes a huge difference for me because, yeah, I do have a very busy schedule. And if I don't take that hour, it's very difficult for me to kind of show up in like close to the way I would like to show up throughout my day. And the way I balance it with my busy schedule is I just don't schedule anything at that time. Actually, I have it on my calendar. Let's see. I have it scheduled on my calendar at 7 a.m. every day. It's blocked off and it's called, oh, you can't see it, but it's called a meeting with YHWH. And some of you may know what that means. Some of you are like, what is that? But that is from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day. It's on my schedule, which means no one can book anything at that time. I can't book anything at that time. It's just going to show up as a conflict. It's blocked off. So, yeah, that is my answer. Any other questions?
Which advice would you give to someone that is just starting a self-care routine?
Start small. So my advice will always be start small because if you decide that you want to do a 1 hour thing every day, like I do, and you don't do it, you're gonna not feel good that you didn't do it. And when you don't feel good that you didn't do it, you'll be discouraged. So basically, what I would advise someone to do is start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes seems so short, but it's so achievable and you get so much done in 5 minutes, even 1 minute. One of my 1 minute routines that I've shared many times is really just having 1 minute of silence to breathe. And that makes a huge difference. So if you have 1 minute, do 1 minute. If you have 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. Start small and then build up. So that would be my advice. Start small and go from there. Don't go too crazy and don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself grace, give yourself time to build up. Yeah, that would be my advice. Okay. Next question.
Okay. So my question is, how important is it to have a routine, and when does routine become a habit?
Mm, yeah, that's a great question, actually. I think that as humans, we're kind of wired to be creatures of habit. And in order for something to become a habit, it has to start as a routine. And so essentially, I would say that it is important for the things that you want to do regularly to turn it into a routine. And routine doesn't mean you have to do it at the exact same time every day. That helps. But other routines are doing it in combination with something else. So, for example, having a routine around water. Maybe you don't drink all your water at a certain time, but you have a specific bottle that you always drink from every day. That's still routine. Or you do something every day when you are eating, like before every meal, right? That's another thing, and it ties into even the other question that was asked earlier. If you don't have much time and you want to start small, maybe tie some habits to every meal. 1 to 2 minutes before or after every meal, do something routine wise that you want to keep to. Um, you know, do it while you're going for a walk. So really just building things around each other and building some kind of pattern, because routine is about patterns that your brain kind of recognizes over time. And then over time, it does become a habit. I think they say habit formation takes like 30 days or something. I don't know. There's different schools of thought about how long it takes. I've heard some people say it takes much longer than that. It really depends on what the thing is and where you were before you started that routine and where you're trying to get to, right? Just like anything else in life. So I would say it really just depends on what specifically you're trying to build a routine around, how you're doing it, and where you're trying to get to. Does that answer your question? Do you have a follow up? Is there a specific routine you have in mind that you're
Um,
trying to turn into a habit?
Sounds good. I I don't think. I guess my follow-up question will be, I know you mentioned one, like start small. What other um, suggestions do you have to build that habit? Because that's one of the difficult things, right? Building it, being consistent with it.
Yeah. So can you rephrase that?
I said you answered one of them
Yes.
because when you talked about starting small, like 1 minute,
Yes.
and it's just being consistent. What are the things one can do to be consistent?
Right. Okay. So I would say a big part of consistency is goal setting, because you are only as consistent as you're planning to be. Like your brain can tell when you set a goal and you don't make it. So maybe you could even start, for example, starting small could look like, yes, 1 minute, 5 minute, but starting small could also look like a weekly thing as opposed to trying to start with a daily thing right away, right? So a weekly thing could be, deciding that, okay, every week I'm going to do this. And consistency just means that you just have to do it once a week. If you do it twice a week, 3 times a week, amazing. You can celebrate that even more. But just once a week already is telling your brain, wow, I'm consistent. I'm doing this every week. And then if your goal eventually is like 4 days a week, then you work up to it, right? So consistency is really relative, right? I could be consistent and doing something every month. You know what I mean? But of course, at some point, it starts to become kind of ridiculous. Like going to the spa every month, sure, that is consistent. But like exercising every month, that's not quite consistent, right? But exercising every week is completely valid. It's a completely valid place to start. It may not be where you want to end, but it's a great place to start. Hope that helps.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions? We have some people who were trying to join, but tech is not the most friendly all the time.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you don't have energy through because of your busy day, and
Yes.
which advice would you give to someone to, like, for example, do exercise or have a moment to take care of themselves?
Yeah, that's a great one. So energy is a multifaceted thing, because the energy we feel during the day depends on multiple factors. One of the biggest one is actually the food we eat. And so meal planning ahead of time is helpful, and making that conscious choice. We had a few people earlier in this 21 days of self-care who talked about mindful eating. Mindful eating is a huge part of managing our energy levels. So to give you an example, even earlier today for myself, and when I say earlier, I mean like 20 minutes ago, I was at a dinner table. I'm at a friend's house right now, and they have put out some appetizers. So they have chips, they have sliced what's it called, peppers, yeah, sliced red peppers. They have cucumbers, chips, what else, yeah, so anyway, vegetable, carrots, right, and hummus. And so if I eat the chips, I would have way less energy right now to do this. And I know that. I know, because it's the greasiness, it's the carbs when you. So that kind of food is more likely to get you all slouchy and low energy. But I knew that if I chose to eat the carrots and the peppers and the hummus, and that would give me more energy, right? And when we're eating the chips, of course, it's comforting. It feels nice, sometimes we just want to enjoy that comfort. It's okay sometimes, but we have to make that conscious decision. If I have a whole day ahead of me, I have things to do, I'm not going to eat those chips because I'm going to pay for it. I'm not going to like that. But maybe if I'm, ready to go to bed, I don't eat chips a lot, to be honest, but I would be more likely to eat chips then, knowing that it's not going to cost me as much in my energy level. So food is one. Another thing that helps with energy is sunlight. So choosing to spend time outside. When I'm working on my computer a lot, I step outside. Even right now, I'm outside, as you can tell. So really just being able to like step outside to get a little bit of sunlight really helps with moderating energy. And then just also like using those superfoods, so like if you are someone who finds your body responds really well to B12, right? Have some B12. I like collagen, and I have collagen in gummies, which makes it fun because then it feels like I'm eating candy. Of course, I can't eat too many in a day because it is collagen. So just things like that. Have your little hacks, the things that your body responds well to and that you enjoy. Another thing I enjoy and that my body responds well to is dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. So I always have dark chocolate available, with me at all times. Hello, welcome. Wow, you're traveling. Okay. So yeah, so really when it comes to energy, I would say food, plan your food well. Get out there and get some sunlight. Have your cheats, whether it's dark chocolate, whether it's collagen gummies. For me, sushi is another one of my cheats. Sushi gives me energy. So just like know your body, listen to your body, and find out what are the things that give me energy and what are the things that drain me. And try to avoid the things that drain you when you know that you'll need energy for a busy day. And if it's a cheat day where you're just sleeping all day, then sure, go ahead and eat those chips or those fries or pizza, whatever makes you feel good but doesn't give you energy. All right. So next question. Welcome to those who just joined us. So we are doing a live Q&A tonight, and you can ask anything about self-care. So this is part of our 21 days of self-care series. We've been interviewing different health practitioners about their practice and about self-care. But tonight we're doing a very special night where we're just doing Ask Me Anything. And it may or may not be because our video for tonight was not edited in time. But the show must go on. So welcome, and feel free to ask any question you have about self-care, about health and well-being. I know some people are also having technical issues and dropping in and out,
I
but
have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
You talked about chips. I thought it's better to eat chips during the day when you are out and about moving so that you can burn it rather than at night. Or what would you say?
Yeah, great question. That's an excellent question. So therein lies the nuance of health and well-being, right? So it depends on what your goal is. So the person earlier asked a question specifically about energy. So if you're trying to have like optimal energy to complete your tasks, then don't eat those chips before you complete those tasks. Now, if your goal is more like weight management, right? Then don't eat those chips at night because you can't burn it, right? So it really depends on what your goal is. And that's why healthcare is so nuanced. You have to kind of listen to your body and kind of think about, what am I doing and why am I doing it, right? So for someone like me where, weight management is not a huge priority on my list right in this season, I might opt to eat chips at night as opposed to during the day because having optimal energy to do all the work that I do is more important to me. Whereas for other people, it's going to be the other way around. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yay. Okay. Any other questions? Ask me anything. All right.
I have a tricky one, and I
Okay.
don't know whether
I like
to.
tricky questions.
Oh, Jesus, you may not be able to answer it. For
That's okay.
people, for people like me with African background,
Mm,
and I'm not used to, like you said, carrots,
right.
peppers,
Yeah.
raw peppers, or even
Exactly.
salad. Like, even trying to do it becomes something else.
Yes.
So, what would be your,
Advice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's an
suggestion?
excellent question. So I would say part of what trips us up when it comes to health and well-being is once again just like going into the deep end. Usually starting small and scaling up is better. And so I really think that I see a question in the chat, so I'll get to that next. I really think that just being able to work up to it, like don't just go crazy on, fruits and vegetables if you're not used to that. Instead, pair it up. So, for example, let's say I was somebody who's more used to having nuts, because, that's more common in African culture, right? Than having like vegetables. I might pair the two, right? So, I might have like a peanut dip that I make, and I dip my vegetables in that. And maybe when I first start, I'm taking like a massive scoop of my dip and I'm eating way more dip than vegetables? But that's okay because at least I can do it. Because if I don't do that, then it's not working for me because I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to eat those vegetables. So it's always knowing kind of like what you are seeking to achieve and what you can handle and balancing the two of them as you continue on your journey. So, anything at all. Like even today when I had my vegetables, I put so much hummus on it. I don't know if you can fully call it vegetables, but obviously I do enjoy vegetables now, right? But it's not something that I always enjoyed. And you can have hope knowing that it's a process. Like your body does get used to it, your taste buds will adjust. The reason you don't like it right now is because you're not used to it. But over time, as you get more used to it, you will start to enjoy it more. Does that help?
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of. Another option is you could chop your vegetables into the dip. So like make your vegetables into a dip. That way you don't feel like you're eating vegetables because sometimes it's also like psychological. So instead of stir frying the vegetables, because that's what we like to do, we cook it and all that
Mhm,
stuff,
mhm.
just chop it into small pieces. Add your spices, add everything. You're still eating it raw, so you're still getting the full benefits of raw vegetables. But because you're chopping it into small pieces and making it into a dip, you might enjoy it more. Is that a little bit more manageable?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have a question in the chat. What advice do you have for people with less free time and want to do self care? That's a great question. So we did have something similar to that earlier, where I was saying that just starting small could be the best plan when you're in that boat. So whether it's like a 1 minute or a 5 minute or a 10 minute, just knowing what you have time for and sticking to that. And if you need to program it on your phone, because for some of us who are super busy for self care, we need to literally schedule it on our phone like it's a meeting. So we're used to having meetings all day and we make them happen. We run, we prioritize the things that are most important to us, right? And sometimes if we don't schedule things in, we won't be able to prioritize it easily, right? We will have to kind of forget about it because before you know it, our schedule's booked. So I would say, even if it's just like a 15 minute, Like book it off your schedule and say, during that 15 minutes, I'm going to go outside and just like breathe. Or I'm going to go into this little room that I've made pretty and I'm just going to diffuse essential oils. Or I'm going to do, so plan it. Plan little things of what you're going to do within that 15 minutes and just do it. And if you need to start once a week, start once a week, twice a week, twice a week. Just give yourself that grace to start small, but build that routine so that you know that, okay, I am doing something for my self-care, even if it's just 15 minutes a week. It's something. It's a place to start. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but it gave us, as is, we have like 4 people in the car here, so we're all
Okay.
putting together our thoughts to ask you a question.
Hello.
Tolani, how are you?
I'm
How are
good.
you?
How are you?
All right, yeah, you can see everybody if you can.
Hello.
So my question is, especially, so this
Familiar
is a personal.
faces. I
I
said
know.
familiar faces. I love it.
Yeah. So this is a personal question for me, and I think you might know this, but I want to ask it if maybe for others, but for sure for me, because I'm struggling with this. As a person who used to be a vegan, and I know my health is best when I'm a vegan, but yet I'm struggling to get back there. How do I get my mindset? How do I position myself to get back to that place, especially when I'm a terrible cook?
So you need a plan. You need some kind of plan. So, for example, if you know you're a terrible cook, so that means cooking's not the best option for you, right? Maybe ordering in is a better option for you, you know? So really it just depends on what plan will work for you, but you need to put a plan in place first. After you put that plan in place, then you can start following it and you can start modifying it if it doesn't work for you. So it's not fun. Nobody likes to order stuff in, but I've advised many people and it's helped them. And it's just the beginning, right? So some people, they order in like for the first, 2 weeks. And then after that, through ordering in, they're like, okay, I've gotten a few ideas. I can do this myself. This is not that difficult. I don't want to pay $20 for someone to make this for me. You know what? I'll do this instead. And then baby steps, right? So you need some kind of plan that you can stick to. You'll be surprised that things are not as expensive as they seem. I know people who have found people like online who would be like a personal chef in a sense for them, but like dropping off meals, you know? I love that comment in the chat. The good thing is you don't have to cook as a vegan. That's so funny because everything is raw. That's hilarious. But yeah, so the thing is, even if it's just finding somebody who needs a job, maybe there's somebody in your life that's like in transition but loves to cook and is willing to kind of like step into that gap for you for a season. That's also another way. I know someone who literally gets someone to drive them to work, like an Uber driver, and it's not as expensive as you would think. So there's so many things we can outsource. We just often don't realize that we can outsource them. So that would be my advice for you. If you're a terrible cook and you're trying to get back into it, outsource that work. Get someone else to do it for you, whether it's through some online app or a real person in your life, and then start getting back into that. Now, it's very, very helpful when we have a community around us that's also eating that way. So if you don't have a community around you eating that way, and I know that's the case for you, starting with 1 day a week is fine. So say, okay, we don't have to eat vegan, but let's have one vegan night. So that way you know that your food is covered that night. You have your one vegan night, and then the rest of the days you can order in, you can, have a personal chef, whatever you need to do to supplement it. And maybe you trade off with your community and you say, okay, one vegan night you have with me, I'll have one meat night with you. And then the rest of your days you're, if that's possible. But I know some people need to go full on 100%. So if that's the case for you, then go for it. Yeah, answers your question.
No, that's amazing. So maybe the problem with that is if I have that one meat night. See, the thing is, I love meat, so it's not like I don't love the. I used to call for folks who eat meat. Obviously, I'm eating meat now, but for almost 7 years I used to call meat lashed food because it just felt dirty for me. But that's the life I'm in now. So but so yeah, it's not like I hate meat or anything like that. So that might pull me back and prevent me from actually ultimately become a fully vegan again.
Right.
So there is a bit of a psychological fight as well in there,
Right.
if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fair. That's understandable because it's been so long, right? And that's where the mindful eating comes back. So really just taking a pause before you eat and thanking, you know, whoever prepared it, and really just having that intentionality will help with that mind shift. And being grateful for the vegan food, when you do have it. And when you don't have it, still being grateful, but acknowledging mentally that that's not what you want to eat, right? So really just giving your mind that permission to have even that 1 minute before you put the food in your mouth makes a big difference in that psychological battle, because it is real. It is real. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, back in the day, they would always pray before they ate. They had all these routines around food, but we kind of tossed the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe there was some unhealthy pieces where it became just like fake, like bless this food, oh Lord, blah, blah, blah. I remember when I was growing up and like, you don't really mean it anymore, but just having that few seconds of intentionality really helps. All right. Okay. Last question for the day before I go and eat my food, which I won't tell you what I'm eating. No, I'm joking. I'm having burgers tonight. I'm at a friend's house
I
and
guess I
hello? Is she frozen or am I frozen?
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I
Yes.
am frozen.
Okay, go ahead.
My computer is frozen. So I guess I just want to piggyback to the last person. Is it possible that even though there can be beef or whatever there, that he choose not to, he can eat every other thing, but not eat the meat? Is that
Right.
possible?
Yeah, like
So
like basically maintaining veganism while still eating whatever is prepared. I mean, it probably depends on how central the meat is to the dish.
so I would say this for me again. It's about health. I like my health
Oh,
is at its best when I'm fully vegan. That means getting rid of anything that is animal based. So eggs, milk, everything. So doing it halfway would still be expose me to that to that compromise, if you will. So that's really the challenge. Otherwise I love meat as far as the taste. It's just doesn't agree with my body.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, no meat for you. And yeah, I think having meals that are specifically vegan will be way tastier than just trying to eat the carbs that are around the meat that someone else prepared. Okay, so I think we did have someone else just join us. Rayon, welcome. I did have my last question already, but I will give you one. Do you have any questions about self-care, about overall health and well-being, about movement? I don't know if he's having technical issues or if there is no questions.
N- I don't have any questions. I just wanted to
Okay.
be a part of here just to see what was happening. And then, because I do believe self care is truly very important. And I just wanted
Yes.
to see what the discussion was about it and see if I can learn
Wonderful.
something.
Yeah, I love that. So we are actually this is part of a 21 days of self-care. So tonight we did a special night, just a live Q&A. We've had people popping in and popping out. But 21 days of self-care is where I've been interviewing different health practitioners. I interviewed a few psychotherapists, nutritionists, physiotherapists, like different people in the health and wellness space, and community leaders and influencers, just talking about overall well-being, and it's been really rich. We've talked about a lot of interesting things over the last number of days. We're just about halfway, so we still have like 10 more days to go. Today's day 10. I guess we have 11 more days to go. And so we just did a live Q&A just to check in with everybody, see what questions people had as we were going along. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Pat, I know you're going to stick around a little bit longer because we have more chats to have. But everybody else, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and don't hesitate to pop in on the next Q&A, which will be at the end of the 21 days. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, recording stopped. Hi, Pat. Oh, I thought I ended recording.
No.
How do I do this?